a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Symbiote Comics. The Klyntar are a fictional species of inorganic, amorphous extraterrestrial symbiotes appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. The Klyntar bond with their hosts, creating a symbiotic bond through which a single entity is created. They also are able to slightly alter their hosts' personalities by influencing their darkest desires and wants, along with amplifying their physical and emotional traits and personality, granting them superhuman abilities. The first appearance of a symbiote occurs in The Amazing Spider-Man 52, The Spectacular Spider-Man 0, and Marvel Team-Up 41, in which Spider-Man brings one home to Earth after the Secret Wars. The concept was created by a Marvel Comics reader, with the publisher purchasing the idea for $220. The original design was then modified by Mike Zeck, becoming the Venom symbiote. The concept would be explored and used throughout multiple storylines, spin-off comics, and derivative projects. Fictional biography. The Klyntar, as the symbiotes call themselves, originate from a planet of the same name in the Andromeda Galaxy, and are a benevolent species which believes in helping others, which they attempt to do by creating heroes through the process of bonding to the morally and physically ideal. Hosts afflicted with chemical imbalances or cultural malignancy can corrupt symbiotes, turning them into destructive parasites which combat their altruistic brethren by spreading lies and disinformation about their own kind, in order to make other races fear and hate the species as a whole. The corrupted Klyntar became more widespread than their benevolent counterparts, establishing a spacefaring culture dedicated to infecting and overtaking planets. The corrupted Klyntar force their hosts to perform death-defying feats in order to feed off of the resulting rushes of adrenaline and other hormones, such as phenethylamine. These host beings would be sucked dry, exhausted by the constant stress and exertion, or simply die in a failed stunt. At some point, corrupted symbiotes overran a planet which was later devoured by Galactus, due to their genetic memory. All symbiotes now loathe both Galactus and his former herald, the Silver Surfer. ZZZXX, a symbiote with a predilection for eating brains, was also captured by the Shi'ar, and imprisoned, and studied for years until it was released and employed as a Praetorian guard by Gabriel Summers. The Venom symbiote is the first permanent symbiote resident of Earth, brought by Spider-Man after the events of the Secret Wars storyline. It was later established that the Venom symbiote was considered crazy by its fellow parasites since it sought, like the peaceful Klyntar, a mutual bond with the host rather than domination, and for that reason the symbiote was placed in a prison canister and supposedly condemned to death by disintegration on a planet that would later become part of Beyonder's Battleworld, where it bonded with Spider-Man while he was trying a machine that creates any article of clothing a person can imagine. Spider-Man would return with the symbiote to Earth, where it remained bonded for some time until Reed Richards discovered the suit was actually a living alien symbiote and helped Spider-Man remove it with a sonic blaster. Stung by the rejection, the symbiote escaped from a secured laboratory located within the Fantastic Four headquarters and went looking for Spider-Man again. It bonded with him a second time, but Spider-Man was able to remove using the sound of blaring church bells. The symbiote eventually went to Eddie Brock. During this time, it spawned 6 children, its first child later having 2 of its own. Brock would soon reform and spend considerable time trying to become a hero with the suit, though originally happy with Brock, because Brock blamed Spider-Man for his failures. The symbiote gradually became increasingly possessive and abusive of him, eventually being sold off by Eddie. It is later revealed that, in addition to their mutual enmity for Spider-Man, it also stuck with him because of cancer of his adrenal glands. Since then, the Venom suit has gradually grown more and more monstrous and psychotic. When bonded to Flash Thompson, who originally struggled to control it, the symbiote developed some slight affection for him. It is later established that the host's mental state affects the symbiote just as much as the other way around, as the Carnage symbiote is as psychotic as its host. And the Venom suit's explosiveness got worse after bonding with its two hosts after Brock, both of which were career criminals. Likewise, the various symbiotes bonded to heroes are not shown to be as twisted, though they occasionally struggle with aggression. Angel Medina claims he was reluctant to start work on Mighty Avengers because he was working on a Venom project, only to be told he would be drawing a story with the Avengers versus an alien invasion by the Venoms. This story arc was later confirmed to be drawn by Mark Bagley, as Medina would be unavailable. Solicitations state that the new Avengers will also be part of this arc, themselves becoming infested by symbiotes. New Avengers 4 revealed that Doctor Doom is responsible for dropping a Venom bomb on New York that unleashes the symbiotes. The story was completed in Mighty Avengers. Further backstory reveals that Doctor Doom collected a tiny sample of the symbiote cells from the drone he had sent in earlier. Later, it is revealed that Christophe Fenard actually orchestrated this so that Doom would be arrested for the event above. A swarm of brood that had been overtaken by symbiotes later invade the SWORD satellite and possess all of its inhabitants, among them Abigail Brand and Deathbird. The symbiotes are defeated by Spider-Man and the X-Men. Venomized. The home world of the Klyntar was later raided by the Poisons with help from Hayes Mansa, a symbiote poacher, resulting in the apparent death of the agents of the cosmos and the abduction of all the symbiotes, leaving the planet barren and uninhabited. The abducted symbiotes were later modified by the Poisons so they could use on the superheroes on Earth in order for the Poisons to consume. After the defeat of the Poisons, the surviving symbiotes were returned to Klyntar. Knull and the secret origin of the symbiotes. It is eventually revealed that the Klyntar were created by an ancient malevolent primordial deity named Knull, whose existence predates the universe itself, when the Celestials began their vast plan to evolve the universe. Knull retaliated by constructing, from his own shadow, a sword made from living darkness. This was the first symbiote, all black, which he used to slay a Celestial. The Celestials fought back and cast Knull into the void, where he used the slain Celestial's severed head as a forge to temper his symbiote sword in its cosmic energies, intent on devouring the divine light that had usurped his kingdom of darkness. Knull manifested a symbiotic suit of armor from the eldritch darkness he commanded and embarked on a genocide against the other gods. During his rampage, Knull is badly wounded in combat and crash-landed on a desolate planet, where his symbiote sword was found by one of the indigenous inhabitants, Gore. Despite this setback, Knull created an army of symbiotes and used them to conquer planets and devour entire civilizations, establishing in the process the Symbiote Imperium. However, Knull's connection to the symbiotes was severed when a dragon-like composite symbiote named Grendel under Knull's control arrived on Earth during the Viking Age, and was defeated by Thor and sealed away. Freed from Knull's control, the hive mind became tainted with notions of honor and nobility as they bonded to benevolent hosts. The symbiotes subsequently rebelled against their god, imprisoning him at the heart of an artificial planet they called Klyntar, which is their word for cage. Ashamed of their dark past, the symbiotes of Klyntar desired to spread and maintain peace throughout the cosmos by seeking out worthy hosts from various species in order to create an organization of noble warriors. Sym-Soldier Program. Grendel's body was eventually found by S.H.I.E.L.D. during the Vietnam War, who used its biomass to bond to a group of wounded soldiers and create a symbiote super-soldier program. These symbiote-augmented super-soldiers were sent on Black Ops missions, unaware that they had also awakened Knull and re-established his connection to the symbiote dragon's offshoots. Slowly Knull began attempting to assert his influence over them. One member of the team, Rex Strickland, eventually left and became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., while the others eventually fully succumbed to the primordial symbiote's control, going insane, and were ultimately cryogenically frozen. The Return of Knull. Knull was eventually able to fully seize control of the symbiote dragon and sent it on a rampage through downtown Manhattan, but was stopped by the combined efforts of Venom and Spider-Man. Using Grendel's biomass to manifest an avatar of his true form, Knull tried to strip the Venom symbiote from its host and purge it of the benevolence and compassion it had obtained during its time on Earth. When confronted by Eddie Brock, Knull showed him the true origins and history of the symbiotes, revealing that the entirety of Klyntar is composed of symbiote biomass, and mocking him for believing the lies told to the Venom symbiote by the Klyntar hive mind. Reforming Grendel around his avatar, Eddie and Spider-Man, Knull flew into space and revealed his plan to obtain the missing pieces of the symbiote dragon in order to free his true body from Klyntar and resume his conquest of the universe, starting with Earth. Deadpool. It has been stated that one of the reasons Venom is not like the other symbiotes is that Deadpool wore him before Spider-Man and messed with its brain. Also in Dracula's Gauntlet, Deadpool defeated a symbiote that had merged with a diabetic centaur who had also been bitten by a werewolf. Powers and abilities. Symbiotes empower the natural abilities of a host to the point where they far exceed that of normal members of the host's species. These abilities include the following. The following are functions that have been demonstrated from various hosts' wills. Other versions. In the Ultimate Marvel Universe, the symbiotes are featured. The Venom suit is a man-made creation born of an experiment by Richard Parker and Edward Brock, Sr. to develop a protoplasmic cure for cancer. It used Richard's DNA as the starting base for it, thus himself and Peter are related to it. The suit enhances the wearer's strength and natural abilities, but also attempts to permanently bond with the host and can affect his/her mind. The ultimate symbiote is seemingly weak only to electricity. When worn by a host other than Richard's son Peter, the ultimate Spider-Man, the host is compelled to devour the life energy of other human beings or else have their own be consumed by the suit instead. The Carnage symbiote also appears in the Ultimate Universe as a parasite genetically engineered by Kurt Connors from Peter's DNA. Traces of the Venom suit remaining in Peter's blood give Carnage similar properties to the Venom suit. It also devours people, but does not require a host. It is killed after being consumed by fire following its attempt to absorb Peter to become whole. It later reappears in the form of Gwen Stacy, and during an encounter with Venom, the latter absorbs the Carnage suit into itself, making Venom complete, though more monstrous than ever before. Sam Raimi film series. The Venom symbiote appears in Spider-Man 3, after it landed on Earth inside a meteorite. The symbiote fused with Peter Parker, Spider-Man's suit, enhancing his powers and abilities, after being discarded by Parker. Following the dark influence it had on him, the entity attaches to Eddie Brock played by Topher Grace. A Venom-centered spin-off was planned where the character would be depicted as an anti-hero, but was cancelled by the studio. Marc Webb films. In trailers for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Venom symbiote appeared briefly among various elements of supervillain technology seen in the Gustav Fier's The Gentleman's Agency. In the final cut of the film, the symbiote was replaced by the Rhino's armor, as Richard Parker has a strong connection with Oscorp's special projects equipment used by many Spider-Man villains. Sony Pictures had plans to create a Spider-Man cinematic universe with various spin-off films including a Venom film, but those plans were abandoned following the studio agreement reached with Marvel Studios. Sony's Marvel Universe. Following the success of reintroducing Spider-Man in film with Captain America: Civil War and the expected reception of Spider-Man: Homecoming, Sony Pictures stated that they were moving forward with Venom. Written by Scott Rosenberg and Jeff Pinkner, and directed by Ruben Fleischer. Released on October 5, 2018, with Tom Hardy portraying Eddie Brock, Venom. While initial reports stated that the film would be separate from the MCU, instead set within its own continuity known as Sony's Marvel Universe, with no connections to the Spider-Man character. June 2017. Amy Pascal revealed in an interview that the film would have connections to Spider-Man: Homecoming and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as an adjunct film, with Tom Holland possibly reprising his role as Spider-Man in Venom as well as future spin-off films. In the international teaser trailer, the Venom symbiote was seen in a glass capsule, before Venom himself is revealed at the end of the first trailer. Riot appeared as the film's main antagonist, played by Riz Ahmed. In the context of the storyline, Venom, Riot, and two other unnamed symbiotes labeled as Blue and Yellow were discovered by a Life Foundation shuttle when they detected signs of life on a comet they passed during a deep space mission. The shuttle retrieved the four symbiotes to bring back to Earth, only for one to escape capture when the shuttle crashes, allowing it to escape by continuously entering into different hosts. Life Foundation head Carlton Drake attempts to experiment with the remaining symbiotes in the belief that linking man and symbiote will allow humanity to survive on other worlds. Months later, one of his scientists reveals the truth to Eddie Brock, whose career as a journalist was ruined when he tried to confront Drake about allegations of possible deaths related to Drake's tests. While investigating Drake's facility, Eddie bonds with the Venom symbiote, becoming the first to achieve true symbiosis, becoming more important to Drake's plans after the other two symbiotes die during the experiment. The fourth symbiote, identified by Venom as Riot, reaches the Life Foundation and possesses Drake with the goal of bringing more symbiotes to Earth to conquer the planet. Meanwhile, Brock's ex-fiancée, Anne Weying, and her boyfriend use high frequencies to disconnect Brock from Venom after they discover that it is slowly killing him. After Brock is captured by Drake's men to retrieve Venom, Weying dons the symbiote and uses it to rescue Brock, transferring it back to him. Venom reveals that he wants to stay on Earth to protect it, because on his home planet he is seen as kind of a loser, and that Brock has helped him see the worth of humanity. Venom and Brock manage to defeat Riot by cutting a large tear in the rocket that Riot was using to retrieve the other symbiotes, causing it to explode, killing him, and seemingly killing Venom in the process. Months later, Brock and Venom have come to an agreement that Venom would only ever harm bad guys, and the two kill a local gang member threatening a shop owner for protection money. At the end of the film, Brock is sent to interview an incarcerated serial killer named Cletus Cassidy, who states that when he escapes, Terry's gonna be carnage. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?